A lot of the content in the relationship space is designed to help men understand how to evoke certain feelings in a woman to create attraction. They also often talk about feelings you don't want to evoke in women, like the ick or being creepy. And today we want to unpack a little bit more around this because I think there's some nuance that needs to be understood so that you can really understand how to navigate these situations more effectively as the masculine, and also with some compassion and empathy to know what is actually in your camp and what is hers to take care of. So I've brought my actual partner on here. Andrew is not only my partner in real life, but we also have been working on the content inside of the rebrand, which is designed to help men step more fully into their embodied masculine energy and lead their life that way. So we're going to be diving into a little bit more nuance with the emotions that women feel, or the feelings rather, that women feel, and kind of what that experience is like from the masculine and the feminine perspective. So let's dive in. Andrew, is there a point you want to start with?
Yeah, I was able to understand this further when I was able to relate to the experiences they were having.
Ooh.
And what I found was a lot of the feelings weren't actually emotions that were having, like, women's decisions were made on deeper feelings, not necessarily on emotions. There are a lot of women that do base their decisions on emotions, but I tend to find for myself that they weren't at the depth I was after, or they were just straight out immature. And either way, that wasn't what I was looking for in a partner or to have a relationship with at all with anyway. So when I started to understand the feelings that women were having and the words they were using around that, it started to allow me to recognize what type of space do I need to create, one where I can feel deeper into it, and then create a space that allows her to step in and share a different type of experience. Which are the ones am I looking for? And what are the little things that I made sure to account for so it didn't trigger the other way?
Well, that's such a great point, because a lot of this is translating so that you have the right information to be working with. Yeah.
So let's start with the negative ones, because they're always a good one.
Oh, so I've done...
Maybe that one.
So I've done a video on how to escalate sexual tension without being creepy. And the comments that came up with that video were really interesting about what the experience is like to be told that you are being creepy. But I wonder if you can help men understand
what creepy means?
What that actually means. And then I'm happy to go into it as well.
I used to think creepy meant was... it was a description of who I was being, as in, like, there's a guy creeping outside, that's creepy. What I eventually realized was it was actually a visceral sensation that she was having, as in her skin was crawling. That's creepy. So instead of it actually being a description of who you're being, it's rather a description of the experience she's feeling. The problem is, as a man, we just call it our skin's crawling, or at least do in Australia anyway. But the creepy feel is this feeling of her skin creeping. And for myself, I've had that feeling. And it's usually around somebody wanting something from me at my expense. And an expense I don't really, like, at a visceral boundary overstepping expense. And my whole skin will crawl to tell me that there's something going on here. And it's not necessarily that the other person is wrong or has malice intent, but they're not taking account of something, and my whole being's like, gotta stop. And when I started to realize that, it was realizing that I wasn't accounting for something that was in her world.
I actually love that you say it that way, because it kind of neutralizes a really negative term. No one wants to be associated with that. None of the men that are watching this channel want to be associated with that. And to have that empathy is actually going to help you be more successful at not creating that experience, because you can then account for some of the things that she might be accounting for. Were there things that you became aware of that, like on pattern, that you weren't accounting for that maybe you needed to have?
In my younger years, I was considered what most would call a nice guy. The whole nice guy syndrome thing. And I now call it the bleeding heart. It's the element of wanting something but not really having enough assertiveness to straight out say that that's what I want. So having a relationship with physical intimacy, as an example. There's an assumption that I had, which is that women don't want that. And from that assumption, I'm then trying to hide something about myself of actually wanting that and hoping that I will get it somehow without having to come straight out and say it. And in the process, there's this underlying expectation, but it's not a spoken one. And therefore, it's in her space. Like, I've experienced this before where somebody's wanting something from me but isn't willing to say it. And there's just certain actions that show this unspoken presupposition, this unspoken desire that they keep trying to lead me towards. But if I come straight out and point at it, no, they don't want to do that. And then they're doing it, not doing it. And there's this weird dance. And the thing with women is it's hard for them to come and straight out and point something because society sees that as being bossy and a whole bunch of stuff. So now they're in this really weird situation. And if I just straight out own that I want a relationship where there's physical intimacy, then I can be a stand for that. I don't have to say it's expected of every single woman, but rather if you want a relationship with me, that's what's going to be involved in it. And we need to work out what do you like, what I like, and be able to have those conversations. So I had to be able to have that conversation with myself and be okay with it. And instead of this dance that I was trying to have to prevent myself from even looking at wanting it, and therefore I was okay with being that's what I want in a relationship.
Something that you brought up that I think is really important is that all of your behaviors, all of your conversations are in line with the fact that you're owning that you want that thing. It's that mismatch that actually creates the like something's off here feeling that she's picking up on in her immediate environment and may not be able to go directly towards. I think that's really important to point out that there are some probably internal blocks for her to go directly towards that because that requires a lot of emotional intelligence, social intelligence, truly, to go straight for that. But the picking up of something's not quite lining up. He's saying one thing, but I'm picking up cues that it's something else, and it feels like it's wanting me to go there and lead that conversation.
Yeah, it's underneath the surface, the masculine and feminine dynamics is I'm being feminine. I'm not actually saying what I want and expecting her to just straight out say it. And it's an immature feminine, and that is what I'm being. Whereas by owning, that's the types of experience I'm after. And what ends up coming up with that as a presupposition. So a presupposition is something to be true in order for what this other thing I say to be true. So for me to turn around and say, I want physical intimacy, what it presupposes to be true is that women want sex too. And while I'm pretending or trying to convince myself that women don't want sex because I've had maybe one or two that I had some reaction from them around my sexual desire, and all of a sudden I'm now assuming that no women want sex or physical intimacy, is that now I'm having to skirt around the side of me as if there's something wrong with it, in comparison to recognizing that 2 out of billions of women had an adverse reaction. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the desire, but rather maybe there was just 2 women that didn't want that with me, or that there was something else going on for them. It didn't mean anything about me and this desire, and that there are women that want the types of connections that I'm after.
I think that's really important because if you have those negative experiences, it's easy to blanket statement, generalize things to everyone. And while there are true experiences that are legitimate, those were your experiences, it doesn't mean that every experience moving forward is going to be in that pattern as well. And the sooner that you can break that or kind of like distinguish that, I would say the more successful you will be at staying present enough to get the information that you need to communicate and to receive in order to have those more mature conversations and find the right people for you.
There's basically the creepy experience for a woman is when we're not owning our desires. And what I found for myself, the reason why I wasn't owning my desires was because of what was in front of me wasn't offering it. And therefore, I'm assuming that that's all I have to choose from. And as soon as I start to actually own my desires, these types of women that are showing up in front of me stop hanging around me, and it actually creates space for the right type of woman to show up, because I show up differently in life.
Yeah. I would say the other experience of that is when you're not owning the desire and she can feel that there's something under the surface, or when you're owning your desire and like putting it on top of hers. You're not actually listening to what hers is. It's not a collaborative conversation at that point. That's the other time when it feels like something's off here.
So it's, let me see if I can get this as a feeling for myself. I might be owning the desire, but I'm projecting it over her. And it's that you should want it, how I want it, or how I'm expecting it should be, in comparison to going, okay, well, you're open to a physical intimate experience or sexual interaction, but then being open to, well, what is it that you're after as well? And if she shares something that's not in line with me, going, okay, cool, you and I aren't compatible in that regards. It's more proof for me that women do want sexual intimacy, but there's no forced expectation of how she wants to express that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm actually glad we're having this conversation, because I think this particular level of nuance needs to be had, especially because this is in the comments often. And so I'm glad that you're here to kind of navigate this one as well.
Because there was one other that coming up in the comments quite as well, a lot, is that attractive men just get a pass.
Oh, yeah.
And I always found this an interesting one because I found it was the same for women as well. There's this element of attractive women just get a pass too, but for something different. And the reason why I think this is the case is that it's not that the creepy feeling isn't coming up, but the woman is suppressing it around a certain attractiveness because she's been... Society's put forward that this type of man is the type of man that she's after. Prince Charming, looks a certain way. And when she finds that, her body may be telling her, no, this isn't what's needed for you, and it's off, but she's ignoring it. And it's not as if men don't do that too. As soon as there's a certain attractive type of woman, he's giving everything of his heart space. And here's the thing that's missing as a nuance for men and women is that women share life energy, which is a sexual energy. Men share sensual energy, which is the heart space, and it's making sense of things. So then there's this cyclical element of energy sharing through. And this is where men, especially synthesizer-based men, will come and give of their heart space over and over and over. The woman feels better about herself because of it. And then she goes and shares that life energy with somebody else. And this is where he feels like hasn't had reciprocation. The challenge is that it goes the other way too. Whereas a woman might share sexual energy with a attractive man, and then he's not sharing his heart space in return, and then she feels depleted. So now you've got it actually on both sides where this is happening. Now this is a very advanced concept we're just quickly delving into. But the point is that this whole attractive gets a pass is because there's some assumed desire that men or women need to look a certain way in order to get the connection that you're after. And as soon as you're willing to let that go, then you will find the type of person who's the right match for you and what you're after. So I'm not saying that attractiveness isn't a trait to desire, but rather that maybe it shouldn't be the trump card, the one that just doesn't matter. As long as that exists, everything else can be ignored.
I think you're using that to step over deeper compatibility issues.
And the thing to own as a man is that we do it too. It's all well and good to point out that that's what women are doing, but if you're not willing to look at the fact that maybe you're doing it as well, and that this one woman that is, or these couple women that are going after attractive style of woman is probably because you've got them associated in the same realms and that's what you're going for. And what's needed is to have a deeper look at what's my criteria for the types of relationships I'm after.
I love that. What's coming to mind for me is Alison Armstrong always talks about the activation of the nervous system that comes up when there is a threat. That one we know, that's pretty common knowledge. But one thing that she asserts is that the body will respond in the same way to a loss of opportunity, the same way that it will to a threat. So if this perceived opportunity is going to be taken away, like there's a sale or there's a really attractive person that may not choose you back, you're going to respond viscerally in a nervous system way in the same way that you would to genuine threat, which I think is important because when you're in that hyperactivation piece, when your nervous system's wound up like that, you will step over the really important pieces of data that you would otherwise see and or be able to take account of when you're in a calm, relaxed nervous system, which is why we always talk so much about nervous system recalibration, nervous system capacity. All of these terms are actually important because that's what allows you to be calm and neutral enough to take in the information that you actually need to make decisions and move through these kind of situations in a way that feels really grounded.
Yeah, one of the biggest things for myself and for the men that are in with the training that we're doing is recalibrating and reassociating the labels we actually put on sensations. Because one of the ones that gets misunderstood on a regular basis is a limerence and attraction. So all of a sudden there's a woman that's sitting in front of us and we have this nervous system reaction that we think is attraction, but it's actually pulling us outside of ourselves. And like when it was happening to me, my sense of self was no longer like in my body, it was external. I was looking at her at the exclusion of myself, and there's like, yes, my heart was racing and all that was going with it. That's limerence. That's not attraction. And this isn't just a man thing. This is what happens with women as well. They see something that they think is supposed to be attractive, and it doesn't increase their sense of self. It doesn't bring in the next set of actual feelings and experiences, but rather has us being able to avoid these feelings, because if we're so hyper focused on this other person, maybe we will get the thing that we're after. When the thing we're after is a certain set of experiences that we need to create for ourselves and start to share with others.
Yeah.
So, do you want to delve into the other ones? Well, actually, let's go through the last two around what are the negative ones that we can spike.
Yeah.
And then we'll jump into the experiences that everybody loves.
Yeah. So the other ones are annoyance and feeling unseen.
So again, this is something that as men, we can understand. So annoyance, actually speaking to annoyance from the women's one, let's talk to that first.
Yeah, annoyance. I observe feeling annoyance when the way that I would describe it is like, not you're in the way, but you're not helping in a way that's like contributing your masculine energy towards where we are going. If we've agreed on something, or if we are acting in a certain direction and you're not contributing in that direction, it will start to feel like you're here, but you're not contributing.
If I put it to a sensation, it would probably be not being heard.
Yeah.
Because if we're heading in a direction and we're working together in assumed relationship, which is actually partnership, and you're trying to say something, and it's like I'm not hearing what you're saying and I'm just moving in a direction anyway, then annoyance comes around with not being heard.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah.
And unseen is similar along the same sort of lines, where there's something about ourselves that we want to be, that we really appreciate and want to be known for, but someone's minimizing it. Oh, it's not a big deal, or they just don't recognize it at all. And if we actually look at these, creepy is not being felt, annoyance is not being heard, and unseen is just straight unseen.
Ooh, so good. Which is, I love that. Part of how we're perceiving information, kind of the blocks in those ways are what's contributing to her experiencing these feelings and therefore wanting to move away from them.
Now, these are some that a lot of men aren't going to experience in the relating and dating sides of things, but in the workspace they will. So there's an element of feeling like someone's not actually feeling the essence of what's on for you and trying to push past your boundaries. Your skin's going to crawl.
Ooh.
When you're trying to say something and people aren't willing to listen, and you start getting annoyed, and then all of a sudden they listen less because they're like, well, you've got the problem, it's got nothing to do with us. Again, now you're not being heard. And when you keep getting overlooked, you're feeling unseen. So these are experiences that you can relate to in another area of life, or transpose them into the relationship sides of things. And what type of experience are you creating for someone? For instance, in your career and in your work, if you've got a boss or someone who's supposed to be holding some level of leadership pieces, and you're not feeling felt, you're not feeling heard, you're not feeling seen, then these things are going to come up. Now, when you're creating a partnership, there's an element of accountability and responsibility to the whole partnership, and you're not creating those experiences for her.
Or co-creating.
Co-creating, yeah. Because obviously there's her part to play in it just as much as an employee or someone in a job. There is my parts to play. I need to not be causing certain situations in the process. And you can kind of see how the interplay of this works from different angles.
One thing, because I can hear people in the comments, again, pointing back to her part, which maybe we do need to just go into what her part might be in each of these. And I think as the woman, it is about getting clear on what you would rather have and making that, framing it in an actionable or positive way. Like basic communication might clean some of these up. But when you can have the awareness of what you're creating in the experience for her, you can then become partners in solving the problem too. Instead of one person experiencing the problem and the other reacting to the other person's experience, now you are putting the problem in front of or between both of you and being able to look at it together and solve some of these things. Is there...
The thing I would talk to on that is, if I have to keep saying about someone else, then there's something I'm not taking responsibility for myself.
Agreed.
So, for instance, if I'm at a job, because I'll use one that's probably easier to relate to, and I keep talking about, oh, I have a bad boss and a bad environment and all this type of stuff, well, at what point am I going to realize that this maybe isn't the environment for me and that I need to go and find another job? Now, before someone says, well, that's all too easy for you, I'm not saying it's a simple thing to do, but I'm saying it's something that has to be done. And that I have to consider, what part do I have to play in the continuation of this experience? I may not be causing the experience, but I am participating in the continuation of it because I'm not willing to walk away. And it's usually a fear of being alone that causes the element of not wanting to walk away.
So good.
The irony is that while I'm not willing to lean into the fear of being alone, then I'm alone around a bunch of people because I'm not being felt, I'm not being heard, I'm not being seen, and I'm alone around people. Whereas if I then decide, well, actually this environment's just not for me, instead of there's something wrong with me, which is the deeper issue, is that I'm assuming there's something wrong with me, instead of realizing that it's just not the place for me, then it's an element of being able to go, all right, well, let me trial out somewhere else. And it's like with a job, it's not easy to do, but while you aren't willing to make that choice and that decision, then you keep getting the experience that you're getting.
One of the most empowering things that a mentor shared with me was to help flip this, and this is something that we do inside of more constellation work, which is kind of one-on-one work, but to start being able to see really not just what's my part and what's their part, but to kind of invert it as, what if this was something that wasn't mine? A lot of times my clients are really good at taking a lot of responsibility for things that aren't actually their responsibility, and not enough responsibility for the things that are their responsibility. Like assessing that this environment isn't a fit for me. I'm not thriving here and I am not a tree. Like Jim Rohn used to say, you're not a tree, like you can get up and move. And that's the piece that we need to take more radical responsibility, instead of the responsibility that we're often taking is trying to adapt and make ourselves different so that we aren't creating this experience anymore. And so just kind of flipping those around and getting that in right order can sometimes be enough to shift this.
Let's move on to the experiences that she likes.
You guys know women have feelings that they enjoy feeling. I've said that multiple times on this channel. Some of them include safety, clarity, playfulness, excitement, being engaged, feeling reassured. Those kind of feelings are ones
Curiosity.
that are... Curiosity.
Being at ease and being able to be natural in an environment or situation. And you'll find that the vast majority of those are not emotions. Those are just experiences. And if we have a look at those, having a feel of safety, having clarity, being excited about something you're anticipating in the future that you really want to be able to do, being engaged in life and what's coming up for us, being reassured, and in the male's instance, or the masculine, is self-assurance, knowing how to assure oneself, curiosity, and being able to be natural without feeling like there's something off. These are all just visceral experiences that everybody wants, and they're not emotions. And these are the things that women lean towards. Now, yes, there is an element of, as I said, some immature women will lean towards emotions because they're avoiding something inside. Now, they're not the only ones, and there's no point pointing it out if they're not open to change. Because while you're pointing it out, what are you avoiding? And moving on from there, how do we create these experiences? So with the, this is why we go, in the channel and the work we're doing, we moved away from relationship as a goal and more to shared life as a goal. And the reason for it is that while there's relationship as a goal, again, we're back to presuppositions. It presupposes that there's something wrong with my life and that all I need is someone to help me fix that. So we're basically being a damsel in distress. And in comparison, if we're having shared life as a goal, it allows us to sit back and go, all right, what's going on with my life? Am I actually really happy in it myself? And what can I do about it to change it and to become happy? So how do I become fulfilled? If I'm not feeling safe, what can I do to bring safety? If I'm unclear, what do I need to do to bring clarity? What am I excited about? What engages me in life? What helps me be assured for myself and not needing something outside of myself to feel assured on? That's masculine-based stuff. Feminine has an element of needing a level of reassurance, but the reassurance usually comes around through clarity and safety. So for a masculine and for men that really want to be that masculine type, finding what are the principles and the values that allow us to actually feel centered and assured in ourselves and not needing something outside of ourselves to check in on. What brings my natural curiosity and what helps me feel natural in myself. These are the things that if I start to create those as experiences, when I'm going on dates, then I just share those parts of my life. And she'll either engage with it or she won't.
Because as the feminine, these are things, if these are her favorite feeling states, the encouragement I would be giving to a female client would be the exact same. You need to be creating these in your own life as well, because that A, allows your nervous system to relax, and B, gives you something to show up with to a date. So as the masculine, if you are creating these things in your own life to share, she is doing the same thing, which when you're coming together and co-creating, that's when things get to be really expansive and exponential, because you're now bringing these things to the relationship or the partnership that you're wanting to build together, instead of looking for it in that space.
So when it comes to moving forwards in your life and getting what you want, and having a relationship is a great thing. Like having a partner to do life with is an amazing thing. So being able to look at it as the first step is going, what life do I have? And start to shift on that. Now, if you're getting triggered, or if you're getting experiences that aren't in alignment with it, where you're like, I am trying to build the life I'm wanting, but it's just things aren't working for me, or remembrance is happening, all these other experiences are happening for you, then that's a deeper nervous system thing. And what you're needing is recalibration. And this is where something like the rebrand can help you, because there's deeper distinctions that we go into that allow going through the nuances to really start to reprogram yourself and recalibrate your nervous system to be able to feel the things you need to feel. Now, there's also sometimes what we need is co-regulation. So someone who's able to hold a space of safety that allows us to just go through certain nervous system experiences in order to facilitate that recalibration. Because when we're triggered, it's usually not about the thing that's right in front of us, but rather our nervous system has misidentified something from our past. And these are things like micro traumas, or just traumas in general, where our nervous system assumes that this sensation means this thing over here. And that's usually what fear is. Fear is an assumption that's projected into a negative outcome. So we start getting a sensation, our nervous system starts to get triggered in the process. And that sensation may not actually mean that. Because in the past context, maybe it does. In this current one, maybe it doesn't. And being able to have someone hold a very safe space allows us to go through the sensation to its completeness and then be able to see what's really there for us.
I love that you said that. So good. Is there anything else that you realized or learned either in recalibrating to not create those negative experiences either for women or for people that you were working with or just friends in general, or anything that you found really helpful in terms of creating those more enjoyable ones for both of you?
I guess the biggest thing that I started to notice for myself was how much I excluded myself. And it wasn't as if I was doing that as I'm trying to hide thing. I thought I was including myself. But the problem was that I was so busy trying to sidestep and navigate around these experiences I was having. And I was assuming that, how do I put it? Certain feelings I was having were mine. Certain feelings and experiences that were showing up weren't. And what I was doing was flipping those around. I was taking accountability for certain experiences others were saying, and that I was having some sort of sensation on as well, that was mine. And that these other ones, they were things that had to be hidden. And limerence is an example. Like, I was believing they were attraction, so I'm trying to lean into this thing as an attraction, but what was also coming up was desire for physical intimacy. And then I'm having to try and hide that part of me in order to get what I want. And instead, by just actually being with the full sensation experience and noticing where my senses started to move away and exclude me as a person, and where I had to hide things like my desires, then I'm realizing that maybe what I'm experiencing, like what I thought was attraction, isn't actually attraction. Like another one is nervousness. When I started to really look at nervousness, and I think on one of our other videos I mentioned how I got this from Simon Sinek, that nervousness was a miscalibration again, a misassociation. And when I really looked at it, it was actually excitement and something that brought me to life. I was just anticipating a negative outcome instead of actually being with, maybe it's my whole body, my nervous system showing me that this is in alignment with what I'm up for. And that what I need to do is to feel through it to understand why.
I love that. This is kind of the exhilaration energy.
Like let's just have another angle to look at something for a minute. I'm sure we've all experienced somebody being triggered about something and projecting it on everyone else around them, only for you to look at them going, you're doing this to yourself. So this is what's happening for us when we're having those heightened experiences where our nervous system's on high end and we end up being tense. And the thing is, we're just missing something in that. There's something we're missing in our understanding, that there's a bigger picture that just needs to be accounted for. And when we're able to have enough space, and when I talk about safety, I'm talking about emotional safety, where someone isn't going to react to whatever's coming up for you, and is able to sit with and allow you to process through it in a way that allows it to fully drop and land. This is why therapy does work as well. But we've just got some other distinctions that could help too.
I love that. So good. I keep thinking of things as you're talking, and then the more I'm listening to you, they just kind of like float away. So
you'll have to chime in.
I know. Well, I don't want to interrupt you when you're in mid-flow, but no, I love that actually, because I think when you are able to experience the sensation cleanly, as I say, like in accuracy of what does the sensation feel like, not necessarily have meaning to it, then the meaning that is meant to be made in that specific instance or that moment is what will come to you. That is how that works when you have kind of a clean slate to work from. So that's where that nervous system recalibration can be so helpful. And I think you do such a great job of holding that space for people as well, if they're needing some space to unpack that.
There's a point that you keep making that the so-called nice guy is just that far off having what he needs and wants. And I actually agree with that. And as much as it was extremely painful for me to have well over 20, 30 years of not having exactly what I was after, when I finally got these little nuances that tipped the scale, it's like, oh, wow, okay, I really wasn't that far off. There was just things I had to own and accept about myself and integrate into myself and into my expression as, how do I put it? There was a lens shift that as soon as that lens was shifted, everything started to fall into place, and all these skills that I'd learnt, even from childhood onwards, all started to come to life. And instead of having this me acting in a way and having adverse reactions from the world around me, as soon as I had certain distinctions and nuanced understandings, all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, now this is all these areas about me that I've wanted to have seen and understood. I see them properly and I understand them. So now I can actually operate within them. And that whole so-called nice guy piece, there is just subtle things that need to shift, and then being able to have the courage to lean into them and to rebuild your sense of self on the deeper foundations that have been trying to come through your whole life.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, I will die on that hill. I think that the nice guys are some of the most qualified partners in the dating space. And when they start seeing themselves in that light, it is game on. They will have their pick of the dating market.
And when you're saying have the pick of the dating market, it's being able to see the fullness of the dating market and being able to recognize, oh, those were the women I was going for because I was trying to get something in myself met through them. And what they got going on over there, they don't even want. I don't want either. Whereas these ones over here, which I never fully saw because I never knew how to engage with them, and they didn't know how to engage with me because I didn't see myself and therefore didn't know how to engage that way. Now I see this and wow, this is awesome.
Highly compatible. Yeah, I guess I need to be a little more clear when I say that, the pick of the dating market. It isn't that you are going to end up with the supermodel that you envision, going back to that moment of how it needs to look for you. It's like opening up your awareness to a new layer, a depth of compatibility, and that is like options, limitless options of highly compatible people, highly compatible new friends, highly compatible partners, partner opportunities in career. Like, it really does impact the entirety of your life when you're playing at this next level down, not just kind of superficial, oh, she's pretty, I think I would like to ask her out because I'm attracted to her. It is a depth and compatibility that's going to resonate, and it's going to open the perspective to what is actually available.
Oh, maybe that's one that needs to be redone there as well. It's not that I'm attracted to her, it's that I'm attracted more to the deeper things within myself. Ooh. It allows me to be more myself, is the whole attraction piece.
Yes. That is what I would say for the feminine. That is her experience, is I get to feel more myself, more secure within myself around you, and therefore this experience is attracting me.
And for me, when the more that you feel attracted to me, it's usually because I'm going, oh, here's a part of myself that I haven't explored before, or am exploring even deeper. And as I'm doing that, I'm like, oh, I like this, and this actually feels good, and it actually lights you up in the process. So most of my attention is on what else do I want to explore with her. And before getting to that, I had to look at, well, what else do I want to explore that actually has me feel good? Because in the process, I want to be around people that feel good with me doing the things that have me feel good.
There are some general principles when it comes to attraction. I remember we did a podcast episode about this, of you are naturally attracted to people who make you feel good about yourself, whereas you're naturally not attracted to people who you feel worse about yourself when you're around.
Unless your nervous system has been trained the other way.
Yes.
So unless you've actually been trained out of your senses.
Thank you.
And where you lose yourself in the process, then what you've actually been trained to is limerence.
This is why it's so challenging for people in the relationship space, is because what they're associating as attraction is the inverse of what it isn't meant to be.
And therefore, when people say around just be yourself and lean into your attractions, all those are because they're talking from an experience which isn't limerence. Whereas because you've associated the sensations which are actually limerence as attraction, then you're losing your sense of self in the process. And because you've lost your sense of self, now you aren't in your body, you're not embodied, you're not alive properly, and everything just has this negative spiral outwards. Whereas being able to come back to, all right, what has me feel even deeper? And the reason why courage is needed is because even deeper isn't always easy or nice.
That needs to be its own session. We are unpacking a lot of these concepts, and I'm going to jot that one down because that could be a whole nother hour of conversation. But I love these kind of conversations, and I would love to hear from you guys if these are helpful conversations to be part of, because we love having these conversations at this depth and want to invite you into them as well. And if this is something you want to continue the conversation around, I would definitely invite you to book a discovery call and continue the conversation at this depth, or at least at the next layer for you. If one-on-one work is what is appropriate and obvious after that conversation, we'll all know. And if not, there are other resources or other routes that we might direct you to get to where you're wanting to go. But we would love to have the conversation with you. And anything else you want to add?
Yeah, the vast majority of men in this, or just people in this community, are deep people. And the challenge you're facing is that you've been getting advice from people that may have a level of depth, but maybe aren't at the level of depth that you have the capacity for. And therefore, when you start to go into that depth, it triggers them because it's probably something beyond that they can have the capacity for. And if that's the case, then what you're needing is to be able to chat with someone who can match you at that depth. Or if you are really deep, able to actually own their own triggers and their own elements of going, all right, let's just slow down for a minute. I need to go and look at something for myself and go with it. So being able to create friendships around those levels of depths is needed, which allows you to own it even further. But then also doing something like jumping on a discovery call with us where we've explored those depths ourselves. Like I've had to heal myself through forcing myself to go through every single one of those emotions. Basically going from white knuckling it and forcing my hand open in order to feel through every nook, crack and anything that goes in it. That's not easy, nor is it something that I recommend everybody do. So this is why we've embedded a lot of this stuff into the rebrand and why we suggest people do a discovery call, because there is these nuances we can point at.
Yeah. And because the rebrand isn't for everyone, it is for the right people who are wanting these nuanced distinctions at depth. If that is helpful, if this feels like uncharted water for you when you're going to your depth, to recalibrate with someone who is able to go there and meet you there is one of the fastest ways to recalibrate your nervous system, is that co-regulation piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anything?
No, I don't think there's anything else at the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope this was helpful. I would love to hear in the comments your thoughts, what comes up for you with this, and if there's anything else that you have experienced with women or in your own relating style that you want for us to unpack. We would love to, like I said, have more of these type of conversations. You're welcome to bring that to the discovery call so we can have a little bit more privacy than we can have in the comment section and really get into your specific scenario there. So I hope this was helpful, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks.
Bye.